I've been tracking this beast for a long time. You were the ones who snatched it first. Now you want me to hand it over? What a joke. Hearing Cheyenne's words, the figure in black sneered. Her voice was clear, indicating she was a woman, and probably quite young. Who exactly is this woman? At such a young age, she possesses such strange abilities. I've never heard of such a young talent in the Central Plains. Cheyenne's face was grim, his mind racing. After a moment of thought, he came to no conclusion, ultimately attributing it to the Central Plains having too many hidden experts. You shameless woman. The things here are ownerless. If it's whoever sees it first, wouldn't that be even more of a joke? If you have the guts, release the damn beast and see where it runs. Ziyan shouted. The figure in black snorted at Ziyan's words, but her grip on the damn beast remained firm. She knew that if she released the little creature, it would definitely flee to the other side. I won't hand over the damn beast. If you want to fight, then come on. Beneath the ghost mask, a pair of clear eyes glowing with green light scanned the area, finally settling on Cheyenne's gloomy face. For some reason, this exceptionally powerful young man gave her a strange feeling, one that was almost like déjà vu. She furrowed her delicate brows in thought, but couldn't recall anything. She suppressed the feeling and scanned the surroundings, looking for an escape route. Seeing that the figure in black showed no signs of giving up, a chill flickered in Cheyenne's eyes. This damn beast was too rare and important. If he could obtain it and nurture it properly, he might have a chance to reach the legendary 9th grade. At that time, his strength would skyrocket, and even surpassing the heavenly venerates of the Hall of Souls would be a simple matter. In that case, don't blame us for relying on our numbers. Cheyenne stepped forward, his purple-brown flames billowing out like an angry dragon, covering his entire body. He stomped his foot on the ground, and his figure flashed like lightning, appearing before the figure in black. His fiery and sharp palm struck directly at her head. Seeing Cheyenne's attack, the figure in black snorted, her steps agile as she retreated, avoiding his palm strike. Beneath the ghost mask, the green light suddenly intensified. Relying on numbers? I think that should be me. The figure in black's cold voice fell, and the space before her twisted. Nearly a dozen figures appeared out of thin air, roaring in unison. A dozen powerful palm strikes slammed towards Cheyenne. The moment the green light appeared, Cheyenne became vigilant. Though he was surprised by the sudden appearance of these figures, he didn't panic. His figure flickered like a ghost, dodging all the incoming palm strikes, but he was forced back several steps. Steadying himself, Cheyenne raised his head and looked at the dozen black-clad figures standing in the air. He couldn't help but frown. These people had extremely strong auras. The two leading black-clad elders had even reached the Dozun level, and the others were all peak Dozun experts. Combined, their numbers far exceeded Cheyenne's group. Most of these people are experts from the 9th Serene Earth Python clan. Ziyan said in a low voice. Cheyenne nodded slightly, his gaze towards the figure in black filled with a hint of fear. She could actually control these experts completely, and she could even use a magical spatial technique to carry them with her. She was like a mobile armory of bodyguards. Cheyenne carefully examined the experts before him and noticed that they still had remnants of consciousness in their eyes, but their bodies seemed to be completely controlled. She's controlling their bodies, but they still have their own rationality. What a strange technique. Seeing this, Cheyenne's heart tightened. He had initially thought she was using some kind of puppet refining technique to refine these experts, but it seemed she was directly controlling their bodies and sealing their souls within. This technique was not only strange but also less cumbersome than refining puppets, further deepening Cheyenne's fear. Despite his fear, he still had to obtain the damn beast. It was too rare, and even Cheyenne's willpower couldn't resist its allure. Moreover, 2 Dozun and a dozen peak Dozong experts weren't enough to deter him. Do you need us to help? Seeing the figure in black summon so many experts, Little Fairy Doctor's delicate brows furrowed. No, you guard the surroundings. Don't let anyone in, and don't let her escape. Cheyenne shook his head, waved his hand, and the heavenly demon puppet and 10 earth demon puppets appeared. He issued a command, and the 11 puppets shone brightly, charging fearlessly into the group of experts. I want to see what other tricks you have. Having blocked those experts, Cheyenne's face turned cold. He stepped forward, silver light flashing beneath his feet, and appeared before the figure in black like lightning. His surging fiery wind swept out like a storm. Faced with Cheyenne's swift attack, the figure in black didn't dare to be careless. From their previous exchange, she knew his dochi was strange, and if it entered her body, it would cause significant trouble. She was already injured, and another attack would force her to retreat. Her mind racing, the figure in black retreated quickly, finally finding herself with nowhere to go. She clasped her hands together, forming a strange seal with lightning speed. Soul captured. A cold shout came from the figure in black's mouth, and a faint green light burst out, shining on Xiaoyan's body. As the green light enveloped him, Xiaoyan's heart tightened. He hurriedly wrapped his body in purple-brown flames. Even so, when the green light touched him, he felt his soul and his forehead suddenly jump violently, as if it were about to leave his body. Alarmed by this change, Xiaoyan quickly suppressed his soul, forcing down the strange agitation. What a strange sorcery! Though he suppressed his soul, Xiaoyan was chilled by the woman's techniques. In his years of fighting, he had never encountered anything so bizarre. Bang! Suppressing his soul, Xiaoyan punched the air before him, the terrifying force passing through the space and landing heavily on the figure in black's body. However, as it struck, a green light flashed on her body, deflecting most of the force. Xiaoyan's punch was powerful, and even though most of it was deflected, the remaining force still sent the figure in black flying backward, smashing through several crossbeams along the way. Hand over the damn beast. Having knocked back the figure in black, Xiaoyan's face was cold as he pursued her, his fiery fist wind erupting like a storm, covering all her vital points. Dream on. Though she was being forced back, the figure in black was stubborn. A green light flashed, and the damn beast disappeared from her hand. Her hand seals changed rapidly, and a dazzling green light erupted from beneath her ghost mask. Demon Eye body control. The green light surged, twisting on the ghost mask, and in an instant, a green eye the size of a face appeared. This eye was extremely strange, with 3 green snakes coiling within, their heads and tails connected, circling the pupil. As they spun rapidly, strange energy spread out. The moment the green demon eye appeared, Xiaoyan felt his body suddenly stiffen, as if he had lost control of it. Startled by this change, Xiaoyan didn't panic. His abilities didn't rely solely on his body. With a thought, his vast soul force, dwelling in his forehead, surged out, forming a slightly illusory figure in the air before him. The figure's fist seals changed, and it threw a powerful punch. Chi. The vast soul force formed a soul fist imprint on Xiaoyan's soul fist, then shot out, landing heavily on the demon eye. Bang! The punch struck the demon eye, causing it to tremble violently before slowly dissipating. The remaining force slammed into the figure in black's ghost mask. The soul force strike sent the figure in black flying backward, crashing heavily into the hard wall of the alchemy chamber. She spat out a mouthful of blood, and her ghost mask shattered. Xiaoyan's face was grim as he appeared before the figure in black. He held his heavy ruler, stopping it at her throat, and said coldly, "Can you hand over the damn beast now?" "No." The figure in black wiped the blood from the corner of her mouth, stubbornly raising her head, glaring at Xiaoyan, her silver teeth gritted. Hearing this, Xiaoyan's anger flared. He turned his gaze, ready to shout, but suddenly froze. Beneath the shattered ghost mask was a delicate oval face, filled with stubbornness. However, what caught Xiaoyan's attention were the girl's eyes. They were a pair of beautiful green eyes, but within them, 3 green dots slowly rotated around the pupil, exuding. "You are Qin Lin?" The tricolored jade python eyes, an extremely bizarre set of eyes in the world, are probably even rarer than little fairy doctor's woeful poison body. In all these years, Xiaoyan had only seen the tricolored jade python eyes once, when he was training in the Jiama Empire, in the mercenary group formed by his eldest and second brothers. However, at that time, the owner of the tricolored jade python eyes was just a timid and weak little girl, a pitiful little servant girl who suffered much discrimination and ridicule because of her snake-human bloodline. Back then, out of pity for the little girl's tragic background, Xiaoyan didn't treat her as a servant. He not only guided her out of her timidity but also gave her a lot of care. Later, when he returned from training in the Great Desert, he found that the little girl had been captured by the Emo family. To save her, Xiaoyan went to great lengths, causing a scene in the Emo family, and finally rescued her. However, at the last moment, the so-called Heavenly Snake Mansion intervened and intercepted her. Although Yao Lao had said that the Heavenly Snake Mansion would treat her well, Xiaoyan had always remembered that timid and weak little girl in his heart over the years. And that little girl's name was Qin Lin, and she was also the owner of the tricolored jade python eyes. Hearing Xiaoyan's exclamation, the girl was stunned, looking at him with suspicion and uncertainty, and said, "You, how do you know my name?" Hearing this, the look of astonishment in Xiaoyan's eyes deepened. He never expected that the opponent he was so wary of would be his little servant girl from back then. Thinking of this, Xiaoyan's expression became a little strange. After so many years, the gentle and weak little girl had grown into a graceful and beautiful young woman. She seemed to have lost all her timidity. What's wrong? Little fairy doctor and the others flashed over, looking at the two of them with strange expressions. Chi. Staring at Qing Lin's slightly puzzled delicate face, Xiaoyan couldn't help but smile, removing the heavy Shan ruler from her throat and heavily planting it in front of her, laughing. Little girl, do you still recognize this ruler? Qing Lin blinked, looking at the huge heavy Shan ruler in front of her, her delicate brows furrowed. This thing gave her a familiar feeling, and even the smiling young man in front of her felt familiar, as if these things had always existed deep in her memory. Jiama Empire, Tiger Great Desert, Modi Mercenary Group. Xiaoyan smiled as he watched Qing Lin struggle to remember, giving her a few hints. Hearing these three phrases, Qing Lin's body trembled violently, and her eyes suddenly widened, looking at Xiaoyan in disbelief, stammering, Young Master Xiaoyan? You finally remembered. Xiaoyan smiled, unable to resist rubbing Qing Lin's head, sighing softly, you've grown so much after all these years. Qing Lin's face and eyes immediately turned red as Xiaoyan rubbed her head. She clearly remembered how Xiaoyan had treated her back then. After being taken to the Heavenly Snake Mansion, she also learned that Xiaoyan had risked his life to rescue her from the Emo family. She had cried a lot back then. At that time, she was just a timid little girl, and she had always thought of herself as Xiaoyan's servant. But she never expected that Xiaoyan would risk so much for such a lowly servant girl. In the heart of a little girl who had experienced the harshness of the world, this was unimaginable. Little fairy doctor and the others, seeing this unexpected turn of events, were all a little bewildered. Of those present, only little fairy doctor had known Xiaoyan longer than Qing Lin, but at that time, she had already gone to the Izumo Empire alone and had never seen Qing Lin. What's going on? Ziyan muttered. Ziyan and the others shook their heads, equally unaware of where this dramatic scene had come from. Are you hurt? Looking at Qing Lin, Xiaoyan couldn't help but speak softly, remembering the timid little servant girl from back then. I'm fine. Xiaoyan. Qing Lin was a little flustered. The memories from her childhood were too deep, so even though she now possessed the powerful strength to become a top expert on the continent, she still felt restrained under Xiaoyan's smile, like a child seeing his stern parent. If you don't mind, you can call me Big Brother Xiaoyan. Seeing Qing Lin's expression, Xiaoyan thought she couldn't bring herself to call him young master as she used to, so he smiled, you're no longer the little servant girl you once were. With your mature tricolored jade python eyes, I'm afraid no one on this continent can take you as a servant. No. I'd rather call you young master Xiaoyan. I like calling you that. Hearing this, Qing Lin quickly shook her head, her small hands nervously twisting together. She didn't look like the culprit who had caused chaos in the 9 Serene Earth Python clan at all. Xiaoyan smiled, not minding, and looked at Qing Lin, saying, you were rescued from the Emo family back then, but the people from the Heavenly Snake Mansion intercepted you. How did they treat you? They treated me very well, and they even planned to make me the leader of the Heavenly Snake Mansion. But the elders wanted to arrange a marriage between me and the eldest son of the previous leader, and I didn't want to, so I ran away. Qing Lin nodded, but she didn't say everything. After running away, she first returned to the Jiama Empire, but everything had changed. After some inquiries, she learned that Xiaoyan had gone to the Central Plains. Having nothing else to do, she traveled thousands of miles to this place, partly to travel, but mostly to find someone deeply imprinted in her heart. Over the years, her status had changed because of the tricolored jade python eyes, and many people had tried to curry favor with her. But the person she couldn't forget was still the young master who, when she was just an insignificant little servant girl, had risked his life to save her. People cherish the memories of those they experienced in their most difficult times, because those people and events leave indelible marks in their hearts. Fortunately, heaven didn't disappoint her. After searching for several years, she finally found the person she was looking for at the most unexpected time. Young Master Xiaoyan, this. Qing Lin twisted her hands, and a green light flashed in her eyes. A snow-white little beast appeared in her hands again. As soon as it was released, it scurried into Xiaoyan's arms, trembling and looking at Qing Lin with wide, frightened eyes. Stroking the damn beast in his arms, Xiaoyan couldn't help but smile wryly, saying, do you need the damn beast? Hearing this, Qing Lin quickly shook her head, but after seeing Xiaoyan's gaze fixed on her, she stammered, I want to use the damn beast's blood to detoxify the poison in my body. Detoxify? Xiaoyan's heart sank slightly, and he held out his hand, saying, give me your hand, let me take a look.